Hey everyone. So, today we're starting a new, midweek series, and that's going to be the Higurashi franchise. Now, if I recall, the entire name is Higurashi no Nakokoro ni, or When They Cry, like Higurashi When They Cry. And this is a visual novel series that, well, has been ongoing for quite a while. Now, I didn't do too much research on this because I don't want to spoil myself. Because this franchise is apparently very, very good. All I know is whatever little recollection I have of the original anime from like 2006 when I watched it like ages ago. Now we would have started a little earlier, but like it's been raining really heavily here, and it was fucking scary because I thought, fuck, it's thundering out, it's raining heavy, it's gonna kill my bit rate. But luckily, it stopped. It stopped like 15 minutes ago. So hopefully it remains calm. Either way. So the short of it is, or for Higurashi, is that it is a visual novel franchise. It has a ton of games in it, and we're going to be checking them out in its entirety, or we're going to be checking it out in its entirety. We'll at least try to get through the first arc this year. So I'm not gonna do it all in one go. If I did that, I'd like suffer from burnout. But if I look into this, hold on, give me a sec, because I had a friend of mine kind of provide me a master list for the for the reading order for this visual novel, and you've got the original Higurashi arc, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 extra arcs after this. Or 27 extra games to play. But mind you, that's not just like that's not all of them. So for example, like arc 1 has like the original Higurashi has about 8 or 9 chapters, right? And then the second arc, you've got Kai, right? The Higurashi Answers arc. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 games in that arc. And then for the third one, there's 3 games in that one. Then there's the fourth one, and then there's 3 games in that one, and so on and so forth. Like one of these has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games in it. 16 visual novels. So it's a pretty long series, right? And we're not going to be checking it out all in one go, like I said. We'll just kind of go at it little by little. Now, it sounds like a lot, but at least from what I've been told, not all of the games are fucking long. Like the first chapter, the one that we're covering today, is about anywhere from 10 to 12 hours long, right? So it's going to be about 3-4 streams if they're like 3 hours each. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to hit for like, the 3-hour mark or so for each of these and try to be done in about 4 streams, just about. Now, this is a series in which you kind of have to pay attention to. So again, I don't blame you if you don't show up to all of these. It's a very specific type of series that caters to a very specific type of audience. Because as I mentioned before, or I don't know if you've read the message that goes out whenever I whenever I go live, I try to, put something funny or whatever in the little description. This is a series about anime girls that kill each other. Or you. That's what I vaguely remember. I remember there being killer tiny anime girls. They're like, they're like 8, they're like 13 or 15, and they will commit murder. There is torture. There is a lot of gory shit in this series from what I know. I don't know how the visual novel handles it. So we will find out. One funny thing though is that I tried putting for the go live notification. This is a game where anime girls kill each other, right? But like OBS didn't like that. It didn't like me using the word kill. But the second I replaced it with, this is the game where anime girls dismember each other, right? It's like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's great. We'll go with that. So didn't mind. Which, speaking of, that's what we opened up with, Dismembered by the Swedish death metal band Dismember. Because I feel like that's pretty accurate. I was kind of worried about the whole like Twitch fucking DJ program shit. Apparently that's not kicking in until the 8th of this month now. So we're gonna be fine, probably for a bit. Because I love opening with stuff to set the mood. And I forgot like how good the first album from Dismember was, like an ever flowing stream, which is the name of it. And this, I mean, of course, this song has some really good lyrics that I feel fit, you know, the game that we're about to play pretty well. Like, you know, maggots crawl in your flesh, or the loss of your life is now a fact. Dead eternal hell awaits, rotting soul now dies. Innocent soul dismembered, a trophy for our Lord. Enter the dark regions and suffer 1,000 deaths. You pray for eternal life, but your cries are denied. Good stuff. Your life is ending here, terribly maiming your corpse, rotting in pieces here and there. Good things. I feel that's very Higurashi, you know, it's hashtag Higurashi core. Anyway, let me get the game up and running, and then we'll swap over to it, and then I'm going to talk about something very specific involving the game itself and the version that we're playing, which is going to be quite something, as it is a topic of debate amongst hardcore weebs that are obsessed with this franchise. Oh god. Alright. Let me just swap over to the screen. Just make sure the game audio is high enough, and then we'll start capturing it. Yeah, there it is. The intro contains spoilers, by the way. So here's what I'll do, because I just had to get this up and running. I will let the intro play, and I will let you watch it at your your discretion. Because like I said, this game, the intro will contain spoilers for a lot of it. So I will let you decide if you want to watch it or not. So I will let it play out, and I guess just look away. So let me exit, and then I'm gonna restart it. So once again, just view at your own discretion. That intro is totally gonna get me copyright struck on YouTube for sure. But alright, so this is Higurashi When They Cry. This is the 07th expansion mod version of it. By that I mean it's been modded to have a bunch of stuff into it. By that I mean it's gonna have better music, it's got upscaled images for the backgrounds and stuff, and that's about it. It has a ton of options, like a fuck ton of options. The game's been translated into I don't know how many fucking games. Dude, the Higurashi like fandom is insane. But we're gonna be starting the game, right? Like I mentioned before, this is a visual novel. For the most part, I'm gonna be reading basically the protagonist's thoughts and stuff like this, little sections like these. The rest of the characters are voice acted. There'll be little things that I will have to read. And then once we actually get into the game and we see the characters themselves, I will talk about something else, which is again a topic of heated discussion amongst Higurashi weebs. But let me crank up the audio a tiny bit more because that intro was a little loud. So I had to lower it. But we're about to get into some very interesting shit. So like I said, this is a series in which you, again, will have to pay attention to. Unless it's stuff that I'm reading. Otherwise, you might get lost. Because, yeah. Now, we won't get into a lot of the killing right away. This is a game that takes its time to build the characters up, just like any anime, just like any manga. You get used to the characters, and then all of a sudden, to my knowledge, one of them will snap or some shit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, Onikakushi, opening. Demoned Away chapter. Welcome to the world of Higurashi When They Cry. The Onikakushi arc will be the opening, inviting you into this world. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your life in Hinamizawa to the fullest. The difficulty for this chapter is extremely high, but I hope you will enjoy the reward. What the fuck do you mean the difficulty? It's a visual novel. Oh, is there gonna be... I think there might be mini games. I don't know if that's what it means. Please do not deplore yourself. Even if the world does not forgive you, I will forgive you. Please do not deplore yourself. Even if you do not forgive the world, I will forgive you. So please tell me, what will it take for you to forgive me? Okay, it's still a little low. I'm gonna crank it up a bit. Back to max. Alright, so AD 1938, the early summer of the 50th year of the Showa era. And then just give me one more second as I do this. Alright. I should still be loud enough, even if my mic is a little bit further away. So, if I was gonna be ripped apart anyways, having my body ripped apart would have been far better. I trusted her. No, I still trust her. Even in this very moment, I trust her. But I'm starting to realize I only wanted to trust her because I refused to accept the truth. It was as if I was trying to convince myself, in such a silly, sobbing voice. And those tears making a mess of my face. That mechanical, repetitious sound finally stilled, and everything fell silent. Only the cry of the cicadas remained, annoyingly loud. And yet, I felt as if I could still hear her voice. But that's not possible. She's no longer speaking. The only one crying is me. She never cried. Even when she repeated those words over and over, she never expressed any emotion, because there were none to show. Oh. If she had no tears to shed for me, then I shouldn't need to shed any for her. Yeah, okay, just making sure. Then why this pain, my eyes getting moist? Why was this happening? I still wanted to believe I hadn't been split apart. That's enough, right? Inside me, an inner voice whispered gently. My spirit had suffered enough. And countless times I'd wavered over whether I should just throw the battered thing away. Except, I stubbornly refused to do that, haven't I? I'd feel better if I just threw it away. Even knowing that, I chose to believe, didn't I? Only I can understand that painful struggle and appreciate it. Hey, me? I've tried more than enough. I'll acknowledge that much. So, isn't it alright to just take the easy way out? Besides, I'm not throwing it away. I'm leaving it behind. With her. Like flowers by a grave. Now then. Calm your nerves. Even though you can't feel your right arm. Just lift it up. And with every swing, forget a little more. That kindness made me happy. That adorable smile brought me joy. I liked petting your head. I loved how demure you were. Because this will be the last time. Because when I swing this down, I'll forget. This is my first and last bouquet for you. Perhaps I really did love you. Oh, it's gonna play the intro again. We're gonna skip it. So if you missed it, too bad. Somebody has been apologizing for a while now. Well, let me double check if this works the same. No, okay, so that still hides it. So somebody has been apologizing for a while now. I wonder what she's apologizing for. It felt wrong to eavesdrop, so I try to ignore it. It had been a while since I'd last went to the city. I only returned to attend the funeral of a relative. Even though I'd lived there until last month, I found the bustle of the city to be overwhelming. Those skyscrapers and the multi-lane roads, the melodious cacophony of the crosswalk, even the campaign speeches blaring in front of the station felt nostalgic. The place where I live now isn't nearly as lively. There's only the chirping of locusts and the babbling of brooks, and the cry of the Higurashi, the evening cicadas. Rather than making me feel lonely, that quietness had begun to instill a sense of serenity. There is nothing where I'm living now. I don't just mean there aren't any burger joints, there aren't even vending machines. No music stores, no restaurants, and no arcades. An ice cream parlor? No chance. Nearest town has some stuff like that, but it's an hour away by bike. But come to think of it, it wasn't really a big deal. There were music stores and arcades and ice cream parlors where I used to live, but it wasn't like I ever hung out at any of them. I had lived in the city for 10 years and never once been to an ice cream parlor. I should have gone at least once. It's only now that I'm starting to regret that a little. Somebody is still apologizing. Who is she apologizing to? She apologized so much, so just forgive her already. There's no reason anyone should ever need to apologize so much. I started to feel a bit annoyed at whoever was refusing to forgive her. No matter how bad the mistake, there's nothing that can't be forgiven. There's no such thing as an irreparable mistake. You just need to be more careful next time. She's still apologizing, even now. Then, has she really done something that can't be fixed? I have no idea what she's done, but if it can't be fixed, then it's all the more reason to forgive her. No matter how much she apologizes, nothing will change. But even so, she keeps apologizing in such a heartbreaking voice. Hey you, the one she's apologizing to, why don't you just go ahead and forgive her? She's apologizing in such a pathetic voice.
Keiichi, そろそろ着くぞ。起きなさい。
I was finally roused from my nap by my father's prodding. Keiichi, we're almost there. Wake up. I was finally roused from my nap by my father's prodding. It seemed the train had reached its final stop. Give me 1 final second. Let me do this real quick. Mainly the... Let me crank up the sound effects a little bit more. Reset my settings. That's why. So we'll crank this up to like this much, and then the music to about this much. And that should be good. Yeah. So now let me adjust the audio levels one more time this way. There we go. Okay. We'd spent hours riding everything from the bullet train to the local routes. It was hard to believe that the landscape beyond the window in the city I was in half a day ago were in the same country. No, that they were even from the same era. From there, we take a car deeper into the mountains. Past where the dense forest encroaching on the mountain road suddenly opened up. There, where I live now, Hinamizawa. Even though we were approaching summer, the morning air still had a frigid bite. Although, in exchange, you could fill your lungs with crisp, clean air. Flipping open the window, I was greeted with a verdant expanse. Nothing but trees. A neighboring house was far away on the other side, so I was probably the only one enjoying the view and that air. I filled my lungs with another deep breath. As I started living in Hinamizawa, I learned that even air had its own taste. I quickly finished getting ready for school and headed downstairs for breakfast. My mother was the only one there. My father was nowhere to be seen. He was probably up working until the early morning. Dad had a rather unconventional job as a painter. It's such a laid-back profession. Get up when you want, sleep when you want, and work when you want. I was so jealous of that easygoing lifestyle. I even wrote for school that I wanted to be a painter when I grew up. Dad was ecstatic about that. It was just because it looked easy. I'd never tell him that though. Mom laid breakfast out on the table. Seaweed, pickled vegetables, raw egg, and grilled salmon. I'm almost such a good cook, it was scary. A perfect, immaculate, ideal breakfast. Unlike my dad, who didn't even know the meaning of the word schedule. My mom never squandered any time or effort. She hummed a little tune as she brought over the miso soup. It seemed like she was in a good mood today.
こっちに引っ越してきてから、圭一が早起きになって嬉しいわね。
早起きしないと朝飯を食いそびれるんだよ。
I thought it was being cute, responding with a wisecrack after being praised for being good.
ご飯はいっぱい？ それとも半分くらいでいい？
山盛り。
First, I savored the steaming hot rice with seaweed. After that, I covered it with the egg. Between bites of rice, I enjoyed the crunch of the pickles. Not bad at all. Excellent, as usual. Watching me clean my plate, Mom gave me a warm smile.
こっちに引っ越してきてから、圭一が朝食を欠かさないんで嬉しいわね。
I was not a morning person when we lived in the city. I slept right until the last minute before school and rarely ate breakfast. Boycotting the breakfast Mom made me each morning. That was probably the only way I could protest being forced to attend cram school. I guess that was what you'd call my rebellious phase. I wouldn't so much as look at the breakfast she woke up early every day to make. If I could go back in time, I'd slap myself. Mindful of the time, Mom rushed me along with a wide grin.
そろそろレナちゃんと待ち合わせの時間じゃない？急いで急いで。
Mom really seemed to enjoy the fact that her son was going to school with a girl. Rena is one of my classmates. She really loves looking after people, coming to meet me every day without fail. The way I looked at it, a guy my age walking to school with a girl was just lame. But, well, keeping a classmate waiting for me every day wouldn't be very considerate. Seriously though, how long does Rena wait there for me every morning? Taking one last gulp of miso soup, I raced for the door. Now I believe it's about to shift over to the screen, and we're about to get to probably the biggest point of contention in the franchise.
レナちゃんにお漬物ありがとうって伝えてね。
Come to think of it, those pickles weren't store-bought, were they? If I'd known that, I would have savored them a bit more.
あいよ。
Yeah, here it is. Okay. So before it comes on screen, we'll talk a little bit about this. Now, if you're a fan of the Higurashi franchise, you're in either one of two camps, from what I've known, or come to realize, especially when asking some of my friends about this series. The one who did suggest it to me, or recommended it to me, has played all of it, and he's the one that provided me this master list of what to read. And he basically told me, when it comes to the first arc, or, well, when it comes to the early games, people are in one of two camps. You are either in love with the original art style, or you fucking hate it. Those who tend to like it either genuinely like it, or find it charming for the era. You have to remember that this, I believe, was an indie title in Japan from around 2006. And I believe it was sold at Comiket, and then it kind of got a cult following, and then it blew up, and then it got major releases, right? I believe that's how it went. Feel free to correct me, because again, I didn't research this too much because I didn't want to be spoiled. I'll probably ask him for more info later. The version that we're playing tonight is from Good Old Games. Now, a lot of people hate the company that ported this game to PC. And they hate him because they feel that they kind of took the soul out of the art style. That is one thing that apparently both camps can come to a conclusion. Which is why there's 3 types of art styles in this game, which I will show off in a little bit. But just know that we're going to be playing at least the original series with the classic backgrounds and the original art style. When we move on to the console titles, we will be using the console art style. So if you're a fan of the series, and then you know what this means. If you do not, you will see what I mean in a little bit. And there's the goblin herself. So, this is what the characters look like in the original Higurashi. They have a very charming and unique style to them. I personally don't mind it. Again, this is a passion project by one dude who wrote this entire visual novel and decided to do all the art, and the backgrounds are very unique. I'll quickly show you what the art looks like through the different menus. We go to the mod menu real quick. we can actually change the graphics from Manga Gamer, which is what like the GOG version will have, which is this, and this character looks this thing. I do not recognize this creature. The creature that stands before us is unrecognizable to me. This is some weird soulless gremlin to me. I believe this will do it too, right? Yes. Okay. Then we've got the console version of the sprites, which are a lot more commonly accepted by people. And these are kind of closer to the anime from the era from 2006. So these are also cute, but again, I will not be using this style until we get to any of the console games. And while we're at it, I'll quickly show off the backgrounds themselves. So we do have the console backgrounds, which are completely different. As you can see, this is kind of what you would get if you were playing this game on console. I believe it got a remake, one of the many remakes for console or ports. And this is what the game will look like. So it's like a complete change from this to this. So we'll be sticking with this, like I said, the classic style form. Now, like I said, you'll have people that really love this franchise that fucking hate this art style. You have people in this franchise that don't like the console art style. But one thing that both camps can kind of come to an agreement is that the Manga Gamer art is horrible. But anyway, let's continue. Her cheerful greeting was as fresh as the morning itself.
相変わらず早えな。たまにはのんびり朝寝坊したっていいんだぜ。
お寝坊したらケイチ君を待たせちゃうじゃない。
She's so conscientious and such a good person.
そん時は置いてく。
ケイチ君冷たい。いつも待っててあげてるのに。
サクサク置いてく。キリキリ置いてく。
どうして冷たいんだろう。
Rena had a slightly troubled look on her face. Toying with her was rather fun because of how quick her mood changed.
嘘。ちゃんと待ってるよ。
With those words, Rena seemed to relax. Her face flushed bright red.
ありがとう。
レナが来るまでずーっと待ってる。いつまでも。
ずーっと。
Rena turned bright red, steam rising from her head as if as her brain short-circuited. She's especially weak to this sort of talk. It's quite rare to find someone this fun to tease.
レナはロマンスものの文庫本は読んだことあるか？
ないよ。読んだことない。
I will say the hands in this art style are really weird, and some of the poses are really weird. But like I said, it's very charming. But she is very cute. From that response, I gathered that she was interested in them, but was too embarrassed to actually buy one. I couldn't imagine what would happen if she did read one. She'd probably turn red and pass out.
そうそう。お袋から伝言。漬物サンキューでしたって。
どういたしまして。どうだった？しょっぱくなかったかな？
They weren't that salty. Actually, they had a pretty light flavor to them. It would have been fine just to be honest and say they were good, but apparently I couldn't be that forthright.
その前に聞きたい。あの漬物を漬けたのはレナか？レナのお母さんか？
なんで聞くんだろう。しょっぱかった？
Her attitude completely changed as she began to panic frantically.
レナか？レナのお母さんか？
なんで作った人聞くんだろう。太郎。
どっちが作ったかで感想が著しく変わる。
Give me one other second. I'm going to do this for myself. Because I see the game kind of peaking through OBS, so I just want to make sure it's not super loud and off balance. Nope. She counted frantically on her fingers, trying to remember the amount of salt she used to pickle them. Hold on, one more time. It wasn't like I was trying to tease her, but I just couldn't stop myself. Guys who take pleasure in this kind of thing are probably the worst. Guys like me. Rena nervously opened and closed her mouth over and over, trying to muster a response.
レナだけど。
うまかった。前回に続き、なかなかだったぜ。飯との相性は最高だった。
Her face went bright red again. She was completely spacing out. It was truly a lot of fun to tease her. I pray that Rena never gets taken advantage of by some lowlife. Keep at it, Rena. I'll train you until you handle it like the average person. Or so I decided for myself.
行こうぜ。ミオンを待たせるとあいつうるさいぞ。
Seeing as she just keeps spacing out otherwise, I called Rena back to reality so we could make our way to school. This strange, easily flustered girl is Rena Ryugu. I've only known her for about a month, but I've come to realize it's not just her name that's strange. Coming up to the next rendezvous point, we saw another person waiting for us. Noticing us, she waved.
お、来た来た。遅いよ二人とも。
So one thing I will quickly do, whenever we have a new character show up on screen, I will show you the updated model of them, just so you are kind of made aware of, like, again, the differences between the classic and the modern art style. But I'll only do that like the first time that we see them. So here we go with this character. So we swap it over to console real quick. That is what she looks like. So that's her, like, console art style, the updated art style. But back to the original.
いつも遅いのはお前の方だろ。
In sharp contrast to the diligent Rena, this one marched to the beat of her own drum. She's Mion Sonozuki. From what it's worth, she's a senior, and she's our senior and the head of our class.
おはようレナ。そしてケイちゃんお久しぶり。何年ぶりだっけ
2日しか休んでねえよ。
そうだっけか前に会った時はあんなに可愛かったのにな。
Mion's gaze stared at my chest, then dropped straight down, focusing on a point between my legs. So, she was saying it was my crotch that was cuter back then. Before you ask, just to be clear, I've never actually tried to show it to her.
そうだよ、立派になったぞ。
What the fuck?
驚くぞ。
たくましくなっちゃった上にヒゲまで生やしちゃってさ。
毎朝元気全開で大変なんだ。
Oh my god.
今度見せてやるから挨拶してみろ。
今度なんて言わないで今がいいな。朝の新鮮な空気を吸わせてあげたら。
I don't think I've ever heard talk so dirty you could smell it fouling up the morning air before. Mion sure does act like an old man sometimes.
よし、わかった。大公開だ。後悔するなよ。
As my hand reached for my fly, Rena began to ramble in a near panic.
ねえねえ、何の話？何の話だろう？何の話だろう？
Red-faced and flustered, Rena tried to play dumb, but it was obvious she knew exactly what we were talking about.
どうだった？久しぶりの都会はさ。
Mion switched gears, dropping the dirty talk and changing the topic to something more befitting the pleasant morning.
葬式で行っただけだぜ。 慌ただしいだけだったよ。
でさ、探しといてくれた？頼んどいたやつ。
お前、人の話聞いてないだろ。俺は葬式で帰っただけだぜ。おもちゃ屋巡りをしてる余裕なんかなかったんだよ。
ちおもちゃ屋とホビーショップは全然違うよ。
It's true?
特に洋物、こっちじゃなかなか手に入らないからね。
She's so real for this.
みーちゃんまたゲームの話？
Mion nodded proudly as Rena giggled. Or giggled.
ケイちゃんに洋芸のカタログを持ってきてもらいたかったんだけどね。
Westport was short for Western Imported Games. Using that abbreviation makes it using that abbreviation did make it sound pretty geeky.
そんなのまた通販で取り寄せりゃいいじゃねえか。
ま、そうするかな。またプレイングの熱いゲームを入荷するからね。
今度は私にも分かりやすいゲームがいいな。
This was what, 1986 or something? Mion is a board and card game enthusiast, and I hear she's collected quite a lot of different ones. According to Rena, Mion's room has kind of become a museum for domestic and foreign games.
俺にも分かりそうなゲームがあったらやらせてくれよ。
いいよ。ケイちゃんさえ良ければね。でもうちらのレベルは高いよ。
上等じゃねえか。俺だって遊び100番遅れを取るつもりはないぜ。
じゃあ今度はケイチくんも仲間に加わるのかな。
They're gonna fucking bust out like the blackjack. They're gonna be playing for like high stakes poker or something. And we're gonna get creamed. Bristling with joy from head to toe, Rena looked back and forth between me and Mion. Between Mion and I. Mion gave her an affirmative wink, and her expression perked up even further.
男の子ってきっと外で遊ぶ方が好きだと思ってたから、ダメかと思ってたよ。
Rena laughed happily. From such a friendly conversation, you wouldn't think I'd moved here less than a month ago. I understood that they did all they could to make a transfer student like me feel at home. I'll have to try harder to fit in, so they won't feel like they have to... so they won't have to feel like they have to try to make me feel welcome. I felt like if I acted a bit more open than I usually am, it should probably be about right for this place. Hinamizawa was a really small village. Not only was there only one school, but there was only one class. That class encompasses all different grades and ages. There are about 30 students at different levels, and they all study in the same class. I'm told that long ago there used to be a bigger school building, and they had actual separate classes. However, it seemed something happened that made it become a single class, and now it stayed that way out of tradition. I was shocked at first, but humans adapt pretty quickly. I've already gotten quite used to it. Yeah, it probably is a trap, isn't it? The sound of children playing started right from the morning. With such a lively mood, it felt more like a kindergarten than a proper school. Not that that was a bad thing. Mion, who had been walking in front of us up until then, suddenly let me take the lead. Right in front of the classroom door. So, I was meant to slide the door open and enter the room first. Too bad, I wasn't gonna fall for that again.
ここで先頭を譲るとはな。お手並み拝見ってことかよ。
Mion chuckled with a haughty smirk on her face.
どうしたの二人とも。
下がってろレナ、危ないぞ。やつだ。
じゃあ、さとこちゃんが
Her name was Satoko Hojo. She was a disrespectful, impudent, bossy kid. The way she talks was annoying, but it would be immature to get worked up over just that. I think I know who this is. I think I remember this character. The real problem was this.
見え見えの罠だな。引き戸の上に挟んだ黒板消し。見え見えだぜ、サトコ。
A haughty laugh came from beyond the door.
お見事ケイちゃん。こりゃ今回は勝負あったかな。
いや、相手はサトコだ。これだけとは思えない。
After falling for such intricate traps since the day I transferred, I no longer let my guard down. Satoko liked to combine a variety of traps. Traps that were simply there to bait you into the main one. Traps that relentlessly kept coming at you like a sadistic Rube Goldberg machine. The list goes on. As well as being clever, they almost never misfire. When you least expect it, she strikes. No escape, no time to relax.
見たところ黒板消しは普通。石とかは入れてないみたいだな。
I took a pretty heavy hit from a blackboard eraser loaded with rocks on my first day. Oh my god.
じゃあさガラガラって開けて落としちゃえばいいんじゃないかな。
それだ。
That's what Satoko was after. Making me focus my attention upward. So as I lifted my hand to the door, there were thumbtacks stuck to the sliding door handle with tape. A frightening trap. A potent and terrifying trap. Concealed by using the blackboard eraser.
見事なコンボだ、サトコ。だが所詮はガキの浅知恵だったな。
Assured of my victory, I threw the door open and stepped into the room. I felt something strange at my ankle. It was similar to the sensation of a jump rope catching my leg. By the time I realized that she had me hook, line, and sinker, it was already too late. I began to fall in an almost picturesque manner.
ケイちゃん避けて。
Instinctively reacting to Mion's shrill warning, I twisted my body in midair before I landed on the floor.
いっててて。
An inkstone filled to the brim was placed right where I would have landed. I shuddered, imagining the situation had I landed square on it.
あらあらこれは。
Right, this gremlin. So, this is what she would look like with the console art style. She looks like that. She has a fang too, because of course she's again a mischievous gremlin. As are all the characters in this game.
おはようございますケイチさん。朝から賑やかですわね。
So if you've never seen like classic anime or are familiar with like, you know, traditional like just school settings in Japan for some reason, because I don't believe they do this in modern anime anymore, but a common prank that used to be played on people or teachers back then was, if you know, Japanese classrooms have sliding doors, right? The whole door opens or slides to the left or right, and that's how it opens. What they would normally do is they would place a blackboard eraser at the top of the like entrance and then close the door on it. So when someone opens the door as they step in, the eraser falls on their head. Or sometimes they would, depending on the anime, sometimes it would be a gag manga or a gag anime, they would put like a bucket of water at the top of the door somehow. And then when you slide the door open, the bucket of water falls on you. Mind you, I don't think that ever happened in any actual school, but I know for sure the blackboard eraser thing happened often and then eventually stopped. But I mean, if it became a part of pop culture and anime and manga in the 80s and 90s, I believe that thing was probably still around for quite a while. But anyway. Oh, right, wrong button. Still sprawled in an awkward position, I was greeted by a mocking face. Or mocking voice, sorry.
一段とスペシャルなトラップワークになったじゃねえか、サトコ。
Yeah, Satoko is really cute.
私何のことかわかりませんもの。
Oh, also, I guess we can show this, because she had her eyes closed last time. So this is what she looks like, again, normally. I guess that she's a fucking gremlin. Yeah, I wonder why, Moon.
朝からついてませんわね。
てめえ。あいててててて。
It seemed I'd inadvertently sprained my back a little while I'd landed. Oh my god. Better than landing on that inkstone. A small hand gently rubbed my head. Here we have another fan favorite. So we'll quickly show her off again. This is again her modern art style.
Keiichiの痛いの痛いの飛んでいけです。
Oh, a small hand gently rubbed my head. I don't remember if I read this. The small, dainty hand continued to gently stroke my head.
腰とかはくじかなかったですか？こうして撫でていれば痛いの痛いのは消えてきますです。
I thought about asking how rubbing my head would help my back, but but I didn't. It's not so much about what you actually do. It's the thought that counts.
ありがとな。リカちゃんのおかげで痛みが引いてきたぜ。
リカちゃん、おはよう。レナにおはようございます。みんなにもおはようございますです。
Rika-chan greeted each of us with an adorable little bow. I mean, I think that hairstyle was just really popular back in the mid 2000s for female characters. That specific cut, but I can see how she can remind you of how Rena can remind you of Boku no of Pico. It was Pico, right? That was his name from Boku no Pico.
リカちゃんはいい子だよな。
Oh, it was infectious. Rena, Mion, and I all bowed back. I forgot to read that.
それに比べてサトコは。
I glared over in her direction. Satoko was whistling, while rather deliberately trying to avoid eye contact.
サトコはいい子でございますのことよ。
いい子はこんな凶悪な罠は仕掛けないぞ。
言いがかりでございますわ。何の証拠があって？
All these Satoko apologists in chat. It's nothing but lies and slander. I picked up Satoko by the back of her collar. She looks like a misbehaved cat when I do this. But a cat wouldn't be setting traps. They would. They do. Like, if you piss off a cat, they'll put, like, thumbtacks in your shoes. She's much harder to deal with.
ごめんなさいって言ってみな。言わないなら。
I cocked my index finger on my thumb, letting it tremble as I brought it closer to Satoko's forehead.
暴力反対ですの。証拠もないのに。
I guess we can try this. Hold on. Let's see if her sprite changes a little bit when she's scared like that. Yeah, it does. She gets a little teardrop, and you can see part of her fang. Oh, wrong button.
言っとくが俺のデコピンはすごく痛い。ベニヤくらいなら割る。
やめて、寄らないでけだもの。
人様が聞いたら誤解するような言い方をするんじゃねえ。
A small hand tugged on the back of my shirt.
圭一が2日間もお休みしたから寂しかったのです。
Rika-chan really is just so... How could I do anything more after being told that? I gently released my grip on Satoko, who at this point was on the verge of tears. She still had her eyes clamped shut as she braced herself for the forehead flick. Oh no, she's crying now. Alright, let's see this one. Oh, there she is. Uh,
悔しくなんかないもん。泣いちゃダメです、さとこ。
I keep pressing spacebar. Spacebar is what hides this instead of like enter.
ファイト、おーです。
That's my bad. Rika gently petted the head of her prankster friend. You would never guess those two are the same age. I think Satoko could learn a thing or a million from Rika-chan.
今度はもっとすごい罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
Wait a minute. As she observed the scene, Rena's expression grew ecstatic as she began to swoon.
さとこちゃん泣いている。かわいいよ。
So cute.
持ち帰っちゃダメだからね。
だってこんなにかわいいよ。
どんなに可愛くてもダメなの。
でもちょっとくらいならダメかな。ダメかな。
Rena kept a cutesy face even as outrageous ideas spewed from her mouth. According to Mion, Rena is ridiculously weak to cute things and always tries to take them home. Object or person.
物もまずいが誘拐はもっとまずいぞ。諦めろ。
じゃあ見てるだけだよ。それならいいよね。よね。
Rena swooned over Satoko's crying form. If a girl ever goes missing in Hinamizawa, I'll be forced to turn Rena into the authorities. Forgive me, Rena. I'll be sure to bring you care packages when they put you away.
先生来たよ。早く片付ける。
Yeah, exactly. No kidnapping, but looking is just fine.
さとこ、すずりあんたのでしょ。
Just from Mion's single statement, the entire mood of the room shifted back to normal. The inkstone was bad, but the thumbtacks stuck to the door handle were an even bigger problem. I pulled the tape off carefully, making sure not to skewer myself. Even though Satoko was the one who set it up, everyone had to pick up after her. By the time the teacher had entered the room, the bedlam from before had been neatly tidied up.
間に合ったね。
Also, I think I forgot to mention it, but if you don't know what an inkstone is, it's what they use in like Japan to crush like ink or dried ink, I believe. And it's what you use for like your brushes. So you'll add a little bit of water to it. You'll mix it with the powder. I don't remember if they use charcoal or like just dried like squid ink. And then you mix it up in this tiny like bowl, right? And then usually that's where you dip your pen into. So that's kind of what an inkstone is. It can also be a literal like flat stone with a small curve in or a small indent where you can pour the water in and stuff. So just so that you know.
起立。気をつけ。
Neon gave out the morning commands. It's difficult being the teacher for all these different grades in one classroom. She has to teach something different to each one. But naturally, she ends up spending all of her time with the younger kids. Rena and Mion, being the highest grade in the class, end up mostly doing self-study. They even end up helping teach young kids, so it seems like they can never get their own studies. Or get to their own studies. They're actually way behind where my studies have progressed to. As a result, I'm pretty much taking over for the teacher and helping Rena and Mion with their studies.
ケイチくんはお勉強教えるのうまいね。わかりやすいよ。
Rena took a breather after finishing highlighting an important section.
教える端から自信がなくなるよ。自分の理解の浅さがわかるな。
God, I relate to that so fucking hard sometimes.
人に教えるには3倍理解してなければならないって言うしね。ケイちゃんもうちらに教えながら 同時に復習もできてるわけなんだよ。
True. In contrast, this person over here is quite laissez-faire about things. For one, isn't she supposed to be in a higher grade than me?
ミオンさ、一言じゃないぞ。真剣にやんないとまずいぜ。こんなレベルじゃ。
別に進学校を目指すわけでもないし、受験に必要なそこそこができてりゃ十分十分。
Her staunch defiance was really something else. This was a different type of relaxed than somebody who already knew what was going to be on the entrance exams.
みーちゃん、ケイチくんが頑張って教えてくれるんだからさ、私たちも頑張ろうよ。
レナは素直ないい子だな。先生がきっといい学校に進学させてやるからな。
ありがとう。
レナには特に教えてやるからな。二人きりでプライベートレッスンだぞ。
プライベートレッスン。
A puff of smoke shaped like a halo popped out of Irina's head. Exactly what kind of private lessons is she fantasizing about that's making her turn so red? I'd like to hear the play-by-play of that next time. While Mion was flipping through her vocabulary flashcard, she threw out a casual question. Alright, this is a new sprite we haven't seen, so let's quickly check it. Let's see if she is, like, flipping out. Alright.
都会じゃさ、こんなに勉強しなきゃいけないわけ？
この程度はできないと進学できないね。
進学できないから勉強するわけ？
まあ平たく言えばそうなるな。将来役に立たないのは承知で。
Real.
こっちじゃさ、出席日数が足りてりゃみんな進学できるんだよ。
そうなのか？
Study equals entrance exams. Having that basic law of the universe so easily overturned sent me into a state of shock.
そうかもね。試験で振り落とさなきゃならないほど人もいないし。誰でも進学できるならさ、そんなにガリガリとやることもないんじゃない？
まあそうだけど、でも一般常識程度にはできた方が。
おじさんはそんな無駄な勉強に時間をかけるよりさ、この思春期の貴重な時間をもっと有意義に過ごすために使うべきじゃないかなと考えるわけよ。
It was too profound of a statement to simply laugh off. But since it was Mion, it probably didn't actually have that deep of a meaning. In place of a chime, the sound of the principal waving the handbell drifted through the classroom.
ケイちゃん、おしまいおしまい。さあ、楽しいランチタイム。
In a complete 180 from her unmotivated state, Mion gave the command that signaled the end of the morning period.
ケイチくん、お昼にしよう。
Might have been making a very troubled face. Elena smiled brightly at me.
よっしゃ、飯にするか。
God, he sounds like such an anime protagonist. There seemed to be different cliques, even within the class. Most of them were divided up by gender and age, but our group was different. Our ages were different, and we had both boys and girls. But we weren't reserved around each other. This level of openness makes a transfer student like me pretty happy. Rena and Mion pushed their desks together so they were facing each other. At the same time, Satoko and Rika-chan were slowly lugging their desks over as well.
ケイチくん、早く早く。
Rena waved her chopsticks in an unrefined manner, trying to hurry me along. Unless everyone was together, they wouldn't even open their lunchboxes.
ケイチさんのお弁当はきっと貧乏くさくパンの耳に決まってますわ。
Like some destitute plebeian.
そう、恥ずかしがらずにお見せなさいな。ほらほら。
Even though Satoko was hurling insults at me, she still wouldn't open the lid to her lunchbox until I was there. I pulled out my lunchbox swiftly and dragged my chair over to join the circle.
おう、お待たせ。
ではミー委員長の号令でいただきますです。
At first, this was kind of embarrassing, but I got used to it pretty fast. At this point, I probably wouldn't even open my own lunchbox if someone else was too slow. Our ages and genders may have all been different, but we were all friends.
いただきます。
The sound of our little 5-part chorus echoed beautifully throughout the classroom. Really though, I've gotten pretty used to this group made up of all girls. Of course, there are other boys in the class, but they were a lot younger, so they were scared to approach me. Well, that's to be expected. Younger boys just see older boys as scary. Compare that to girls, well, at least these girls aren't picky. We put all the side dishes in the middle where everybody was free to pick at them. I thought girls would mind sharing a meal with a guy, so I was a bit flustered joining in. However, Mion noticed that and teased me quite a bit. As the fruit of my efforts, I can now reach over and take sides from anybody's lunch.
あらあら、ケイチさんのお弁当は今日は大奮発ではございませんこと。
あらあら、さとこさんのお弁当こそ大奮発ですこと。煮物がしっくていい感じですわ。
Buying into the fight that Satoko was staring. Huh? Our chopsticks locked in a cross counter, stabbing into each other's lunch.
ビミ
お、里芋がいい感じだぞ。煮物は冷めててもうまいよな。
After seeing my happy face, Rika-chan's expression broke into a little smile.
夕べの夕食の煮物少し取っておきましたですよ。
Taro is like a vegetable, by the way. By the way, Satoko and Rika-chan's lunches are always the same. It seems that Rika-chan makes it for both of them every day.
この煮物もリカちゃんが作ったのかい？こいつはお袋の味クラスだよな。
I was honestly impressed. The carrot rosettes weren't from a mold. They were done by hand with a knife. That's not easy to do.
リカちゃんって何気にそういうの得意なんだよな。
お裁縫とかお洗濯とかも上手なの。すごいよね。すっごいよね。リカはいろいろとすんごいんですのよ。
She even has the fucking Ojo-sama laugh.
お前が威張ることじゃねえ。
僕よりレナの方がお料理は上手です。
It seemed that the topic of conversation switched to Rena when she wasn't expecting it, making her blush and trip over her words. Rena's lunch really was the star of the table. Not only did it look good, it tasted good. Everyone else pulled from Rena's lunchbox constantly.
これ前に評判良かったからいっぱい作ってみたの。美味しいかな？
かなり合格点。あ、ミオ、お前取りすぎだよ。
Knocking Mio's chopsticks aside, I reached out trying to secure my own portion. Satoko and Rika-chan reached over at the same time and a struggle ensued. Everyone shoveled in mouthful after mouthful while praising it, and Rena's lunchbox was soon empty. It was kind of bad that no one thought to leave any for Rena. But Rena seemed rather satisfied as she looked on.
いかがかしら。レナさんもとてもお料理が上手ですことよ。ケイチさんとは大違いですの。
だからお前が威張ることじゃねえだろ。
さとこだってケイちゃんと変わらないじゃんよ。あんたブロッコリーとカリフラワーの区別つくようになったわけ？
It's like she just asked her if she could tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower. and it's as if the entire room went black and a spotlight like shone on her, and she's just like standing there.
おいおい
Her face went
ブロ
pale.
ッコリーとカリフラワーの違いなら俺だってわかるぜ。
わかりますもの。わかる
It's really hard for her to lie.
もん。ケイチくん、どっちでも茹でてマヨネーズかけると美味しいじゃない？いじめちゃかわいそうだよ。みーちゃんも。
It's just so funny how you can tease kids about the simplest of things, and that will like completely throw them off. They will think that they're superior because they understand something, and then the second you throw them a line like that, well, I bet you can't tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower. They're like, I can. Yeah, I know the difference. Rena hurriedly tried to follow up, but Mion laughed haughtily as she drew closer to Satoko.
まあまあ家庭科の授業ってことで。じゃあさとこ、これは？
Mion lifted up her chopsticks. Between them was a piece of green stuff wrapped in bacon.
でもそれアスパラ。
Is that asparagus? Mion made eye contact with me, and within 0.3 seconds, I had Rika-chan's mouth covered. Holding a piece of bacon-wrapped asparagus and giving her two choices. She's pretty terrible.
その黄色がカリフラワー、緑がカリフラ。
さあどっちだ？
多分黄色がブロッコリーで青がカリフラワー。でも緑は
本当にどっちか分かってる？降参した方が良くない？
I'd expect no less from the class representative. The oldest. The way she drives people into a corner just shows how much experience she has. This is just a hunch, but being brought into the Sonozaki household must be quite the ordeal.
わかりますもの。わかるもん。
じゃあ答えなよ。
わかるもん。わかるもん。
Oh no. Hold on. Let's see if that one's different. I don't think we've seen this one. Oh no, we have. Where she? Oh no. This is slightly different. But there she is crying. That's so mean. She finally broke down and started crying. When she acts like this, she actually starts to seem her age. Then it entered a state of euphoria as Satoko bawled her eyes out. Then it was in a state of bliss as she rubbed her cheeks against Satoko's head and smothered her. Really, a very content face. One that wouldn't care if the world ended right then. It was that kind of smile. I don't think we've seen this version of Rena. Give me one sec. Yeah, we hadn't. But there she is.
レナお姉ちゃんが悪い人たちはやっつけちゃうからね。
It was like a flash of lightning.
今一体何が？
Both of Rena's fists shot out at supersonic speeds, striking Mion and me squarely in our faces. Mion and I squarely in our faces. Before we knew it, now you say Mion and I? We're sprawled, spread eagle on the floor, staring up at the ceiling with matching welts on our
ケイ
faces.
ちゃんは食らうの初めてだよね。今日のはまだ甘い方。
甘いってこれよりまだ上があるってのかよ。
With that, Mion and I both slumped our heads back to the floor in unison. From now on, I'll be careful when I'm within striking distance of Rena.
ほらさとこちゃん、やっつけちゃったよ。あー、かわいい。お持ち帰りしたい。
Making sure Rena couldn't see it, Satoko stuck her tongue out at us. Oh my god. Alright, well, let's see. If she actually does in this version. No, it's just her being a smug gremlin. Damn it all. Using Rena like a puppet. Rika-chan massaged our bruises without saying a word. No matter what the day had held, the last school bell always came too soon. Our shadows stretched off into the distance.
ねえ、ケイチくん、明日はさ、何か予定とかあるかな？
It was such a direct question from Rena. I inadvertently blushed. If it was for a date, then wouldn't you do it more subtly? Rena saw me lost for words and realized that I'd misunderstood and turned red as well.
違うの。そういうのじゃなくて、
So apparently, that wasn't what she meant. But since it's always fun when Rena's in a panic, I went along with it a little.
なんだ、そういうのじゃないのかよ。
Playing it up, I slumped my shoulders, feigning dejection.
ケイチくん、なんでがっかりしてるんだろう、太郎。みーちゃん。
Unable to hold it in any longer, Mion slapped me on the back.
そっか、そういう攻め方はおじさん知らなかったわ。
Mion was rolling on the floor, clutching her stomach, while Rena flailed around, completely bewildered. I couldn't help but start laughing as well, feeling just a bit guilty. I ruffled Rena's hair.
嘘、ごめん、冗談。悪かったよ。
She really is a cute one.
冗談ってどこからだろう。
え、あ、途中から。
途中から
Halfway?
ってことはケイちゃん、最初の真っ赤になったのはあれ演技じゃないんだ。
それって。
It was only a momentary lapse, but there was no way Mion would let such a delectable detail slip by her.
いや、その。
Saying anything more was also a bad idea. In my bewildered state, I slipped further into an unfavorable position. After that, Mion continued to tease me about it for a while.
で、明日が暇だと何なんだよ、レナ。
何の話だっけ？
It had been so long that Rena had forgotten. That's how long Mion had teased me. Oh my
ケイちゃん
god.
さ、まだこのひなみ沢一人じゃ回れないでしょ。
That was true. I hate to say it, but if you blindfolded me and spun me around 3 times like we were playing pin the tail on the donkey, I wouldn't be able to tell up from down here.
そうだな。町へ行くのと学校へ行く以外はまだ自信ないな。
そうそう。それでね、明日ね、みーちゃんとレナでお散歩しながらケイチくんにひなみ沢を案内してあげようよってことになって。
That would be a godsend. Frankly, I was happy about the offer.
もちろん行くでしょ。
暇ならな。
女の子が誘ってんじゃん。
暇ならな。
どうせ暇なんでしょ。
暇ならな。
I was being stubborn so as to not give a clear yes or no. Even though I thought it was a godsend, I'm too much of a scamp to say it up front or to say so.
暇じゃないのかなこの
While Mion and I had our rather sour back and forth, Rena peeked over at me hesitantly. Figuring I'd been a bit too rough on her, I just gave in.
すまん、許せ、ごめん。暇だ。
よかった
The trepidation disappeared from Rena's face as it blossomed into a smile.
おうおう。ミオンさんとレナさんじゃ随分と温度差がありますじゃん。
It seems Mion didn't care for how rude I was to her compared to how quickly I agreed with Rena. But her being annoyed was very interesting. So I pushed Rena forward, speeding up our pace to leave Mion behind.
行こう、レナ。明日は二人っきりで出かけような。嫌味なミオンは置いてって。
ケイチ君がそれでいいなら
She immediately throws her under the fucking bus.
案内しようって提案したのは私。しかとすんな前原圭一。
二人きりでピクニック嬉しいな。弁当は持ってくか、レナ。
お弁当いるならレナ作っちゃおうかな
レナもしかとすんな。二人がホテル街へ消えたって回覧す。
じゃあレナ今日は早く帰ってお弁当の準備するね
Oh my god. She just fucking pummeled her.
明日が楽しみ
She crushed her
ケイチ
skull
君にみーちゃん
and gave her a concussion. For implying that she was a whore. Oh my god. Yeah, she is more gangsta. New moon. Then I bounded off like she was walking on the moon. And speaking of, after the dust settled, all that was left was me standing next to Mion sprawled out on the ground. There was a welt on her face.
大丈夫か？ミオンとレナの立ち位置、2メートルは離れてたはずだぞ。
あんたが来て以来、切れ味は増す一方。おじさん身が持たないわ。
Maybe it'd be easier if you stopped saying stuff that makes Rena want to hit you. Or else this will end up being Mion's slapstick comedy hour. If that happened, the results might be fatal.
くじけるなよ、ミオン。レナのジャブを見切れるのはお前しかいない。
私は膝じゃないかと思ってんだけどね。
Oh. Could it be that we were hanging around with an unrivaled martial arts master? Maybe someday we'll see her debut in an extreme contact sport.
レナには負けられないぞ。ミオンも鍛えてリベンジだ。
ケイちゃんがしてよ。おじさんは応援してる。
Mion and I reaffirmed our determination to discover a way to counter Rena's infallible technique. And that's it. That's the game. That was the entire first chapter. No, I'm kidding. There's still like fucking like 9 hours more. Let's go ahead and save. Yeah. Let's close this. So that's the end of chapter 1, but this still keeps going. Right? Yes, it does. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of the first arc itself focuses on, like I said, building up the characters, or at least a lot of the beginning of it. And then we get to more stuff. So don't let your guard down, because I mean, as you could probably tell with you know, like the past hour and a half, the game does a pretty good job at setting up the characters. I took it a little too easy on the morning of my day off. I was totally late. And to top it off, that pesky mom of mine pushing a return journey errand on me just as I'm trying to leave the house. Today was the day Rena and Mion were going to show me around Hinamizawa. Oh, and then here they have their iconic outfits. So let's look at the other version of it. So in the console version, well, Mion doesn't have a gun. But here they are. Not sure why she has a gun, but Rena and Mion were already waiting at the meeting place.
ケイちゃん遅いぞ。
悪い悪い。責めるのは昨べの面白かった特番に行ってくれ。
ほう、女の子との待ち合わせに遅刻して言い訳がそれってわけ？
Right? Being like, oh, I was watching TV, so I'm late for our like date.
みーちゃんだって今来たばかりなんだよ。
ゆうべの密着24時間面白かったし、ね
え。She was just as guilty as me. Rena was carrying a pretty heavy-looking handbag. Wait, what is that? Mion answered my unspoken question with a wink. That's right. Rena really did make a picnic.
ケイちゃん、あの後レナ大張り切りだったらしいよ。
別に俺がけしかけたわけじゃないだろう。
But she's a girl. She's doing something nice for you.
そんな大変じゃなかったから気にしないでよ。ね。
ゆうべから今朝まであのテンションらしいよ。責任取れんの？
Can you take responsibility?
わかった。俺も男だ。責任は取る。
責任ってなんだろう。
As we both turned around slowly to look at Rena, our gazes drifted downwards to the massive handbag she was carrying. It didn't seem logically feasible that it would be entirely filled with lunchboxes. Except this was Rena we were talking about here.
2キロくらいかな。
Huh?
レナね、荷物持つときよっこらしょって言ってた。5キロ。
それはオーバー。ケイチくん男の子だからきっといっぱい食べるだろうと思ってたくさんね。もう行こう。よっこらよっこ。
Just from the way she was lifting it up, I couldn't believe the only things in there were lunchboxes.
訂正。俺も5キロ。
手伝いはするけど全部食べるんだからね。レナを悲しませたら許さないよ。
The only thing I could do at that moment was exercise a bit to make myself hungrier. Having finished with the pleasantries, we began our leisurely stroll. A carefree walk bathed the gentle morning sunlight. I couldn't have even imagined something so wholesome existing during my time in the city. These were the boonies after all. No slovenly desk jockeys trudging to work on the weekends out here. It really was a nice place, peaceful and quiet. As sparsely populated as the village was, you could still run into people just by walking around.
あ、こんにちは。
こんにちは。あら、そちらは。確か、前原くんだったかしら。
That voice sounds familiar. It's probably like I don't remember the name of the actress, but she probably just played a lot of mom characters in anime. My two companions exchanged greetings with everybody we ran across. All these passerbys even knew my name.
なんで俺ってこんなに有名人なんだ？
We passed 3 people, and when all 3 of them knew me, I started to feel a bit paranoid. You're being gang-stalked, Eiichi.
悲しいかな。 ひなみ沢は人が少ないからね。みんな顔見知りなんだよね。
つまりなんだ？知らない顔が歩いてればそれは自動的に新しく引っ越してきた前原さんってことになるわけか。
No, Kichi, they're all feds. They're all glowies that are coming for you.
そういうことになるね。
It was a process of elimination you could only pull off in a place like this, but it was quite effective. From now on, I'd better make sure to maintain a good reputation. The day I'm discovered accidentally gawking at a dirty magazine in the bookstore, I can expect all the villagers labeling me as a lech by the next day. Hinamizawa is not to be trifled with. That's not the end of this nightmare.
もちろんわかるよ。最初に会ったのが牧野林店の竹蔵おじさん。趣味は盆栽と尺八なんだよ。
次が乾物屋の次男の大輔くん。趣味は狙撃で、将来の夢は超永久スナイパーだとか。
は？
それで今の人は入江診療所の看護師の美代さん。趣味は野鳥の観察と撮影だって。
Actually, let me see if I can find out who this voice actress is real quick. It was Mio. I believe this is her. Yeah, the nurse. Who is her voice actress? God, there's so many images of her. Okay, so she's portrayed by a lot of people. But it's Miki Ito, I assume, who is... Yes, she's been in a lot of stuff. Oh, she was Mineva from Zeta Gundam and Double Zeta. She was in Bubblegum Crisis. She's Android 18 in Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff, dude. Like Sailor Moon. She's from Ghost Reaper Mikami as well. She's from Victory Gundam as well, and J Decker and Ray Earth. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude. She's in a lot of stuff. But yeah. I assume it is the same voice actress from the anime as well, and like in this visual novel.
すれ違った全員の名前までわかるのかよ。
Yeah, like she's been voice acting since like the 70s and even into like modern day.
プロフィールまで。
Seeing my surprise, Mio and Narena exchanged looks and burst into laughter.
はあね。ここいらは都会みたいにご近所付き合いが希薄じゃないからね。
試しに聞いてみよう。今ここにいる俺は誰だ？
前原圭一くん。意地悪なこと言うけど本当は優しいテレ屋さん。
転校してきてようやく3週間。趣味は昼寝。最近トランクス派に転校したよね。
もういいもういい。
Oh my god.
トランクス。
それもいい。
Apparently there is absolutely nothing you can keep hidden here. Hinamizawa was not a place to be trifled with.
これじゃあさ、俺のための案内ってより俺のお披露目みたいだな。
そうだね。うちらさ、これだけ賑やかに練り歩いてたからね。みんな思うんじゃない？ケイちゃんもひなみ沢に馴染んでくれたんだって。
ひなみ沢は過疎だから村中みんなが新しい仲間を歓迎してくれてるの。
That about brushing it off with something to the effect of, "You're kidding me," but I held back. Had I ever greeted someone who just moved into the city like this before? Thinking about that made me believe what they say wasn't a joke at all. We passed another person. Of course, we were called out to again in the same way.
あらこんにちは。仲良しそうでいいわね。
藤島さんちのおばさんだよ。こんにちは。
あら前原くん、両手に花でいいわね。どう？ 生活はもう慣れた？
Instead of regurgitating a prepared response like I would have in the city, I responded with an emphatic nod. The old woman chuckled, voicing her appreciation of how energetic I was.
グッド。
As I looked back over to Rena and Mion, they gave me a wink.
でね、そろそろお昼にしないかな。
Rena's brilliant smile signaled the approach of an event that both Mion and I were trying to forget. We both looked at each other.
俺も男だ。努力はする。だが量が多すぎる。
よしケイちゃん、ここはおじさんに任せなさい。
Mion has never seemed as reliable as she does. I'd expect no less from the class representative. My god.
レナ、どうせ食べるならさ、見晴らしのいいところで食べない？
それいい。賛
Rena nodded her head happily in response to Mion's proposal. Mind you, she made 5 kilograms of food, which is like 10 or 11 pounds of food, which is a ton. Like, even for 3 people, that is so fucking much. And they're like, 15 or something. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, a shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us. It had worn down a bit through the years, but the fallen leaves had been swept up, giving it a tidy feeling.
ここはね、古出神社っていうの。多分見晴らしが一番いいところかな。
ここの場所、よく覚えといてね。もうすぐここでお祭りがあるんだから。
へえ、祭りにしちゃちょっと早いシーズンだよな。
綿流しは夏祭りじゃなくてね、昔は冬の終わりを喜ぶお祭りだったらしいよ。
I was embarrassed for assuming that festivals had to be held in the summer.
さて、弁当を広げてと。
Various colored lunchboxes were placed one after the other on top of a plastic sheet. It sure did smell delicious. It was Rena's home cooking. It went without saying that it would be delicious. But is it even possible to finish all of this? Hey Mion, it'll take more than just a good view to get all of this down, you know.
こんにちはです。
Oh. And then the other gremlins are here. So let's look at them real quick. So here's their outfits in the console style. That belt is comically large. Yeah, well, even here, it's comically large. It was Rika-chan and Satoko. Why are they here? Oh. Mion grinned over at me. I see. This was her secret plan. The power in numbers. Yeah, my thanks, Mion. Following up when all the pieces are in place is my specialty.
騒がしいから来てみれば、これは何ですの？
見りゃわかるだろ。
And I don't think we've seen this face, so I won't take too long with this, but yeah, there she is, all all confused looking.
これからランチタイムだ。ビュッフェスタイルだ。レナの手作り弁当に舌鼓だ。
そんなの見ればわかるでございますわ。どうして人様の庭でご座なんか広げてますの？
神社は公共の場所だぞ。勝手に独占するな。
圭一の言う通りですよ。みんなのお庭にしますです。
くー、やっぱりリカちゃんはいい子だな。座りな、そこ。一緒に食べよ
After opening up a spot for Rika-chan, I promptly turned my back on Sadako.
ちょっとお待ちなさいな。私はどこに座ればいいんですの？
お前に座る場所はないし食べる分もない。
大丈夫だよ。さとこちゃんの分もちゃんとあるから。
ない。さとこの分も俺がいただく。
そんなことは許せませんの。リカ。はい、お箸です。
Both Sadako and I leapt at the boxes, having it out with each other.
いやはやケイちゃん乗せるのうまいわ。ほんと才能あるのかもしれない。
はい、お皿。みーちゃんもリカちゃんも。
Then I whipped out pairs of chopsticks and paper plates.
僕たちも頑張らないとなくなってしまうです。
そうだね。よし参戦と行くかな。
いっぱい食べてね。ちゃんとみんなの分あるから。
Rena said as she opened up a thermos. Just then I realized that this lunch was made under the assumption that 5 people would be eating. It didn't change how much there was, but the implication behind it was different.
そのハンバーグは渡しませんわ。
いや肘は反則だろうさとこ。
襟首をつかむのも反則でございます。
It was a tough battle, blocking with her full momentum and an elbow in the opening moves. Sadako appeared to have the upper hand, but the difference in our proficiency with chopsticks proved to be fatal and gave me the upper hand.
最後のミートボール。
校長さとこ破れたり。
Sadako and I amiably began choking at the same time, falling backwards and spasming. Rika-chan patted me on the head to clear it, even though it was actually stuck in my throat. The scene that made Rena blush and breathe heavily in excitement. It was almost like flowers were floating all around her. Mion advised Rena to refrain from saying anything that could get her locked up. This is how our meals usually go. I'd do anything in my power, just so things could stay like this. The intense battle calmed, and finally everyone reached a point where they could begin talking. Receiving tea from the thermos, I let out a small
日
sigh.
本語ってやつはさ、どうしてこう味に対する賛辞が少ないんだろうな。
食事中の団らんって考えがそもそも近代に入ってからだからじゃない？
昔の人は無言で食事を済ませたそうだし、作る人もちょっぴり寂しかったろうね。きっと昔の人は食べるのに忙しくて味を褒める暇もなかったのですわ。
That's just you.
でもね、美味しいの一言だけでも嬉しいよ。苦労の甲斐があったかなって。
She blushed a little as she said that.
美味しいです。
With absolute perfect timing, Rika-chan struck Rena directly with praise. She looked straight at her with an expression of bewitching innocence.
は？
After Rena uttered an unintelligible noise, a ring of smoke rose from her head with an audible poof.
リカちゃん、お持ち帰りじゃなくて、ありがとう。本当に美味しかったですよ。
Rena flushed red with excitement, embracing Rika-chan and rubbing her cheek against her so hard you could almost hear it.
リカちゃんには褒めてもらったお礼に、じゃーん、これをサービスね。
2 apple rabbits. Oh, those are so cute. After sticking toothpicks into them, she thrust them towards Rika-chan. Hold on, let me see if I can find a picture of those because I love the way they look. They're so cute. Yeah, they look like this. Well, they're called bunny apple slices as well, but they're this basically. You cut up an apple, and then you give it like a rabbit shape, or you give it like rabbit ears, which is really cute. And it's like super simple to do. But alright. So back to this. So after Rika-chan accepted them, the mood suddenly shifted in a bizarre way.
なんだよサトコ、その挑戦的な目は。
皆さんにはレナさんのリンゴを獲得できるだけの賛辞が用意できまして。
強気じゃんよ。ボキャ品のあんたにどんな賛辞が思いつくっての？
ではご覧遊ばせ。
After Satoko flashed Mion and me a defiant look, he changed the tone of her voice suddenly.
エレナお姉ちゃんのお弁当、サトコも美味しかったよ。
Satoko looked up at her proudly while talking cutesy. What? How's that praise? That's not even persuasion by tears, that's persuasion by cuteness, isn't it? This is Arena limited special skill. She blushed and her head spun, waving around in circles. Don't fall for it, Arena. Of course, that was asking for the impossible. Then I glommed Satoko and began rubbing her cheek against her. I don't think I have to explain glomping, but maybe that's that's a phrase that hasn't been used in like 10, almost 20 years by people. Oh my god. But it's the act of jumping on someone, essentially. And then it's usually followed by rubbing your cheek against them, or sometimes they'll depict like it's like when Kirby is like, you know, like when he's got like half a watermelon stuck in his mouth, right? Like you do that to someone's head, but like in anime, like that's what glomping is. I haven't seen any, I haven't read that word in years.
サトコちゃんもかわいいよ。お持ち帰り。はう。
Swish, stab, push. Satoko was also presented with apple rabbits. After stuffing them into her mouth, she looked over at Mion and me again with that defiant gaze. It took only 5 seconds to take down Rena. That's unfair, to think she had such a trick.
悔しければレナさんにご褒美がもらえるような賛辞をお考え遊ばせ。
Damn it. That was a dirty trick. First of all, that wasn't even praise.
サトコ、それで勝てたつもりとはね。あんたらの底の浅い技とはわけが違うものを見せてあげようじゃない。
それは頼もしいぜミオ。それはどんな技なんだ。
やるのはケイちゃん。
はあ。
見せてもらおうではございませんか。豊島のあがきを。
The writing of an old maid. Oh my god. The plan of attack she suggested was wicked, but it was the only thing we had to beat Satoko. After sipping my tea, I started talking very naturally and calmly. Perfectly.
本当に美味しいよな。これってさ、全部手作りなのかい？
実はね、これほとんど冷凍物なの。
じゃあレナの手作りのってどれだい？
その恥ずかしいな。教えなきゃダメ？どうしても？
From the synergy of boy plus handmade lunchbox, her expression had melted into euphoria.
わかるよ。これでしょ。
Irena turned an even deeper shade of red, the words, "I can't believe it," practically written on her face.
なんでわかるかなかなはレナの手作り
Of course, Mion had told me beforehand. It's been perfect so far. After acting like I was shy, I waited a beat. Next would be the finisher.
レナの匂いがしたから。
Silence enveloped the area. Rena, face still completely red, froze solid. With a small yelp, Satoko also blushed. Of course, I did too.
レナの手作りのリンゴのウサギさんが食べたいな、なんて。
Even if this was all because I was competing against Satoko, it felt like I had crossed the line by a good 9 yards, I think. Then, at that moment, it was a Tupperware container filled with rabbits.
食べてねケイチくんいっぱいあるんだよ
Who the fuck writes this? What? It's like what kind of word is that? Instantly, dozens of the apples were shoved into my mouth, knocking me over.
はいしてケイチくん
My head was forcibly laid upon her lap, and even more apples were shoved into my mouth. While she was squealing, one apple after another was forced into my mouth. More and more apples.
ほうがはほほ、ほへはきごはきは。
How about them apples, Satoko? Looks like I win. Or looks like we win.
殉職見事なり。どうよさとこ、うちらの完全勝利だね。
こんな手信じられないですの悔しくないもん
Satoko grounded her teeth, mortified. All this to put like a 10-year-old in her place. We did it. I claimed victory as my consciousness drifted slowly away from me. At that time, Irena stopped her squealing as she suddenly realized something.
リカちゃん食べないの塩水強すぎたかなかな
Looking over, Rika-chan had pulled the toothpick out of the apple rabbit, placed it onto her cupped hands, and seemed to be at a loss as for what to do.
うさぎさんがかわいそうです
I know. I would be in the same position.
助けてあげてほしいです
Oh. Poor Mr. Rabbit, I feel so... Well, I'm not making that sound. Jeez. That was the sound of blood spurting from Rena's nose.
かわいいよ今夜こそ絶対本持ち帰り
Rena's gonna get arrested. She shook sporadically, her head wobbling back and forth. Then, coming back to her senses, she took all of the apples around me, gathered them up with a flip, and fixed them back up on a plate.
これでみんな寂しくないよねこれリカちゃんにあげるね
Rika-chan raised up Satoko's hand like a referee after having that plate of rabbits shoved to her. She whispered,
僕たちが勝ちましたです
Oh no!
はあ、はくやわえや。
I just don't care anymore. Thus, my sacrifice ended up being in vain. It was a fun-filled, crazy day. It was really cute for sure. Oh, wait. But as soon as the sun began to set, the end of the day really did come quickly.
じゃあね、レナにケイちゃん。また明日ね。
ミオ、今日はありがとな。楽しかったぜ。
また明日ね。
Satoko and Rika-chan went home as well. We parted ways with Mion, and it ended with just Rena and myself enjoying the evening air on our way home.
ケイチくんも今日は付き合ってくれてありがとう。楽しかった？
ああ。楽しかった。まだ家に帰るのが惜しいくらいだぜ。
じゃあさ、ちょっとだけ寄り道してもいいかな？
A little detour?
寄り道？
Also, Jen, thanks so much for the follow and for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
遠いのか？
ち
Hope
ょ
you're
っと
doing
歩
well.
くけどすぐ済むから。
Since we had been walking around all day, I must have seemed a bit tired. Not feeling like teasing Rena, I quietly nodded. Traversing a small path and up a small hill, the land suddenly stretched out before us. What looked like the remains of a dilapidated construction site came into view. A large heap of garbage spread out towards the swamp. Probably illegal dumping. I recalled it being in the newspaper.
今日は久しぶりだから何かあるかな？何かあるかな？
久しぶりって、レナのようは、ゴミの山かよ。
ゴミじゃないよ。レナにとっては宝の山だもん。
But Rena had already entered that well-known cute mode of hers. So that meant there was something cute here?
わあ、新しい山だ。ワクワク、ワクワク。
She descended the unstable slope with ease. I'd expect no less from a born and bred country girl. So Jin is a country girl, I see.
おい、待てよ。今行くから。あったたたた。
My city-raised self was completely pitiful.
いいよ、ケイチくんはそこにいて。すぐ済むから。
Rena kindly declined my accompaniment.
転ぶなよ。足元に気をつけろよ。
大丈夫だよ、大丈夫。全然平気。
Literally bounding among the heaps of trash, Rena disappeared from sight. I didn't like being left behind, but I was still pretty tired from the whole day, so I just ended up waiting. Without the lively Rena around, the surrounding area quickly fell into silence. The cry of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. Fairly exhausted, I began to feel a little sleepy. Just then, the sudden noise of scattering pebbles alerted me to somebody's presence. Startled, I turned around. Thank you, Jin. I appreciate it. Alright, so here we have a new character. It's like one of the only other males, I believe, in the series, and this is what they look like in the console version. Standing there was a typical-looking photographer. He spied over at me through his camera. His body was tanned and fit, but something about him seemed unreliable, and he had a bit of an aloof air about him. Well, it didn't seem like he was a bad guy in any case.
おっと。ああ、びっくりした。
Although, startled when I turned around, he overplayed his reaction. What was my line?
驚いたのはこっちですよ。
ごめんごめん。驚かすつもりはなかったんだ。君はひなみ沢の人かい？
I gathered that he wasn't from that question. Unfazed by my suspicious gaze, he introduced himself without my prompting.
僕は富武。フリーのカメラマンさ。ひなみ沢にはたまに来るんだ。
I didn't ask who you were.
写真ってのは被写体に断ってから撮るのが礼儀なんじゃないんすかね。
ごめんごめん。メインは野鳥の撮影でね。断った試しがないんだよ。
What a fucking sentence. Like, what a retort to such a question or to such a statement. So what? So what you're saying is I'm the same as the birds?
いやいや、夕闇に黄昏る少年があまりにも絵になっていたんでね。本人の許可を取らずにファインダーを覗いたことを謝るよ。
Adults are pretty slick. All that annoyance I felt for being startled just flew away as he buttered me up. I had no intention of hanging around with this guy, trying to get cozy with me, except it didn't seem like Rena would be back soon. Yeah, stranger danger. This guy's like a photographer, he comes here quite often. But this older guy, Tomitake-san, he didn't mind my cautious responses and continued rambling on by himself.
ケイチくん、待たせてごめんね。もう終わりにするから。
Rena popped her head out from one of the lower piles of garbage and waved her hand.
連れがいたのかい？お、彼女はあんなところで何をしているんだい？
That's what I wanted to know.
さあね、昔殺して埋めたバラバラ死体でも確認してるんじゃないですか？
Tomitake-san looked shaken up by that for a moment. Uh-oh, I responded like I would if I were talking with Rena and the others.
嫌な事件だったね。腕が一本まだ見つかってないんだろ？
ケイチくんお待たせ。待ったかな？
馬に蹴られる前に退散するかな。驚かせてすまなかったね、ケイイチ君。
おい、何をしてんだよ、お前。Tomikage-san chortled suggestively, then disappeared into the twilight. Missing my chance to retort put me off a bit.
ケイチくん怒ってる？どうしてだろう？
It wasn't Rena's fault, so I decided to just brush it off for now.
どうだった？掘り出し物は見つかったか？
聞いて。あのね、あったの。ケンタくん人形。
ケンタくん人形？お手あれか？ケンタくんフライドチキンの店の前に必ず置いてあるあの等身大人形の？
そう、ケンタくん。はあ、かわいい。お持ち帰りしたい。
I couldn't tell how she decides what's cute or not. But, well, she seemed to want it.
あれはゴミだろ。お持ち帰りしたきゃしてもいいんだぜ。
他の山の下敷きになってるの。簡単には掘り出せないし、あそこ明かりがないからすぐ暗くなっちゃうし。
Rena seemed quite down about finding a treasure and not being able to bring it back.
俺も手伝ってやるよ。今日のうまかった弁当の恩返しってことでさ。
ありがとう。
Birds heading home to roost proclaimed that nightfall would soon be upon us.
ケイチくんが手伝ってくれる。ケンタくんはお持ち帰りできる。は
Rena staggered along as if intoxicated in her dreamy state of mind. I tried asking her in a way that wouldn't take her out of her cheery state.
なあレナ、あそこで昔なんかあったのか？
ダムの工事をやってたんだってね。詳しく知らないけど。ふう。
例えばさ、工事中になんかあったとか、事故とか。
知らない。
Just, I don't know, smiley face. Her tone was disturbingly frank. It sounded more like a denial than an answer. I must have appeared rather dumbstruck. Then I quickly lightened her expression.
実はね、去年までよそに住んでたの。
レナも転校生だったのか？俺はてっきり。
だからね、それ以前のことはよく知らないの。ごめんね。
Don't really know, don't want to talk about it. That was the kind of feeling she gave me. Thinking about it, of course, it would be like that. This wasn't the type of thing, this wasn't the type of thing girls would enjoy talking about. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it's just like Tomitake-san said, then I had a feeling only the Higurashi would know. Would they? Okay, so we got new tips. Let's save again. I've still no idea what these are, real quick. So let's look at one of them. So, is this just like replaying the eclipse or something? Or are these like little scenarios? Let's check one of them out real quick.
レナってさ、俺と同い年だったよな。
そうだよ。も同じだよね。
Oh my god. Hey now, it would be weird if we were the same age, but not the same zodiac animal.
そんなことないよ。誕生日の違いがあれば年齢が同じでも干支が違うこともありえるって。
あれ？あ、そうか。ミオン、頭いいじゃないか。
ところで、ケイチ君は何月生まれなのかな？レナは7月なんだよ。
Oh, Irena smirked and puffed up with pride. Hey now, what's the meaning of this? She's not planning to be all high and mighty if her birthday is a wee bit sooner than mine, is she?
だが諦めろ。俺に誕生日で挑もうったって無駄なことだ。なんなら一月差ごとに100円の賭けをしてもいいぜ。
なんでだろう。
Irena panicked at suddenly being challenged to a wager. Given how panicked she is, I am certain she doesn't have much allowance left this month. It's just, sending her into a panic about something as simple as a birthday is so fun, I can't help myself.
ってことはケイちゃん、ひょっとして4月生まれ？
そういうこったな。残念だな、レナ。俺、もうとっくにレナより年上なんだよ。
へえ、そうなんだ。じゃあ、みーちゃんと同い年なんだね。
まあ、ほんの何ヶ月かはね。すぐにまた差を開いてあげるけどさ。
Again? Mion snickered through her nose. Hey now, that's not something to get all high and mighty about. As if I'm one to talk.
そういえば、ミオンって上級生なんだよな。
下級生の方が燃えるってんなら今日から下級生ってことでもいいけど。
Oh my god.
みーちゃん、よくわかんないこと言ってる。
Just by seeing Rena's blushing face, you could tell she knew exactly what she meant by it, though.
で聡子とリカちゃんが下級生とどころか学校が違うくらいの下級生だよな。
圭一くんはちょっと好みの年齢が低すぎると思うな。
You're not making any sense yourself, Rena. I'll just grab onto her head and scruff it up a bit.
やめて
前から思ってたんだけどさ、なんでこの学校ってクラスが学年混在なんだ？
教室の数が足りないからだよ。仕方ないじゃん。営林署の建物を間借りしてんだからさ。
When she says it like that, it makes sense. I've thought our school was strange for a while now. The schoolyard is gravel, there are rooms that aren't for classes, and there's some strange sort of construction machinery parked here.
なんで借りてるんだよ。本当の学校はどうしちゃったんだよ。
戦前からずーっと立ってたらしいからね。老朽化でね。廃校ってわけよ。
It was probably a grand old schoolhouse.
まあそれで生徒は町の学校に通うことになったんだけどさ、遠いでしょ。
Yeah, imagine going from like the mountains. You have to take a car from the mountains to the train station and then take a train to school. You'd have to wake up outrageously early just to make it, to school from the mountains to the city. And this was the 80s as well.
どこの学校だったの？
沖宮の駅前通りを抜けて病院に曲がって小児科の向かいに学校あるのわかる？
I couldn't tell where that was by the location, but I understood it was pretty far from Rena's reaction.
まあそんなわけでさ、沖宮の学校に通いたくない連中はこうして営林署の建物を間借りした仮校舎に通ってるってわけさ。
ひなみ沢の子供の半分くらいかな。朝早くに自転車で通ってる子たちも結構いるよ。
まあこんなはちゃめちゃな学校に通ってたら進学校とかはちょっと無理だろうからね。
そんなことないよみーちゃん。ちゃんと頑張ればどこでだってお勉強はできるよ。
お、そうだぞそうだぞ。レナとは意見が一致したな。
そうだねそうだね。頑張ろう。
せいぜい頑張ってくださいな。おじさんはささやかに応援しとりますわ。
俺たちがじゃないぞ。ミオンがだぞ。お前受験生だろ。こんな成績じゃお先真っ暗だぞ。
いいもんいいもん。路頭に迷ったら永久就職してケイちゃんに食わせてもらうから。
永久就職ってなんだろうなんだろう。
ほらそこうるさいですよ。実習は静かに。
The teacher yelled at all three of us. It was completely our fault. Satoko saw it and chortled haughtily. I stuck out my tongue at her in response. It's just as Mion says, the school has nothing to do with higher education. But it makes up for that by having lots of valuable things things other schools don't. Alright, I guess we can check these out, and then we can get ready to call it for tonight, since these are pretty short, and we made it through 2 chapters, which wasn't too bad, considering how long this game is. Or like 2 parts of chapter 1. It's only June, but it's already so hot. Oh. I could hear the Higurashi outside chirping. Me, me. And at night, there are mosquitoes. It might as well be summer already. My only salvation was that the mornings were still cool.
暑いでございますわね。
Satoko was flapping her skirt languidly. That's pretty unladylike there. Even if she was a little brat, she was still a girl.
ケイチさんはワイシャツ一枚で涼しそうですわね。羨ましいですわ。
俺から見りゃスカートのサトコの方が涼しそうだよ。この時期のズボンの股ぐらがどれだけ蒸すか女のお前にはわかるまい。
蒸すんだ。はう。
That is kind of true, but like I've always been a person that does wear like jeans even if it's like 100 degrees out. But that's because I'd rather have, or it's cooler to have something cover your legs and shield you from the sun than wearing shorts and letting like, you know, like the breeze like, you know, brush past your leg. Because when it's fucking hot out, the breeze is not going to be cool. It could still be like, you know, warm or hot, humid air, or it might just be hot, dry air wherever you live. And that's still not gonna feel good. It'll probably feel worse, like your legs are cooking. But if you have jeans on, you will just not feel the like burning sensation of the sun shining on your legs. So I can only imagine what it's like to, you know, wear a dress in the summer and then go through that as well, where your legs are constantly burning as well. This girl has gone imagining something indecent.
レナの夏服は涼しそうな色合いがいいよな。見てるこっちも涼しくなる。
Also, hey Chucky, thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing well.
ありがとう。本当に涼しいんだよ。私もレナさんみたいな涼しい夏服が良かったですわね。でも、さとこちゃんの夏服ワンピースですっごい可愛いし、レナはさとこちゃんの夏服着てみたいな。これ結構蒸しますわよ。絶対にレナさんの方が涼しいですわ。でも可愛い服の方がきっと楽しいよ。
I had a feeling that Rena and Satoko's base values were fundamentally different.
そういえば、この学校って指定の制服とかないんだよな。
うん、ないよ。ふさわしい服であれば私服でも大丈夫なんだよ。
There are quite a few students in regular clothes. There were a few wearing uniforms, but they were all the same design and rather plain.
他の連中が着てる制服は何なんだよ。みんなお揃いだよな。
あれは町の学校の制服なんですのよ。別に決まってるわけじゃないですけど、みんな着てますわね。
そこへ行くと、俺らの仲間はみんないろいろな制服を着てるよな。わざわざどこかから取り寄せたのか？
ええ、ミオンさんが調達してくださいますの。みーちゃんの親類で古着商をやってる人がいて、全国の学校の服を格安で仕入れてるんだって。
で、その親類に頼んで、いろいろ個性的な制服を取り寄せてもらってるわけか。
That Mion. She probably loves using her friends as dress-up dolls. That must be a strange second-hand clothing store. I get that it's a second-hand clothing store, but stocking clothes from schools all over the country? That's pretty strange for a second-hand clothing store. That's the third time you've said that. What's the point in stocking up clothes from faraway schools they know nothing about?
それはレナも思うよ。他にも体操服とかスクール水着のお風呂とかも扱ってるの。そういうののお風呂はちょっと嫌だよね。
あんまり儲かってなさそうな商売だな。きっと少しでも儲けさせるためにミオンが一肌脱いでやってるんだろうな。
でもいつもミオンさんが自信満々に言いますのよ。今にきっと大ブレイクしてすごい商売になるって。
A second-hand clothing store that stocks school uniforms will be a big hit? I don't get it. Alright, so that's the second tip. So third and then fourth one. The dam site murder dismemberment. So let's go to the Mayabara mansion first, and then we'll cover the dam incident for last.
ケイちゃんってさ、すごいお金持ちってわけでもないの？
なんだよ突然。俺がいつ高級車で登校したよ。
月の小遣いはいくらもらってる？
1000円。
結構小市民的ですのね。
Oh my god.
お弁当のおかずも普通ですよ。お金持ちじゃないです。
You're so mean. Also, welcome back. Billy, how you doing? Oh, nice. What ending did you get for Vengeance? What are they talking about? To be asked out of nowhere how much I get, and then told that it's a plebeian amount?
ごめんね、ごめんね。
Lena seemed to pick up on my dubious expression and started giggling.
ケイちゃんちってさ、すっごく大きいでしょ。だから建築中からひなみ沢中で前原屋敷って呼ばれて注目の的だったんだよ。
Maebara Manor?
あんなに大きいお家だからどんなお金持ちなのかなってみんなで噂し合ってたの。
I see. Now I get it. Well, the frame of it is huge. I see how it could cause some misunderstandings. Oh, the Tao ending. Yeah, that's, I believe that's the law ending for Vengeance, which is the one that I got, during my first playthrough. So it was something. I didn't end up liking it too much, unfortunately. But the game so far has been pretty good. I really do like the gag comedy and stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about it in the end, or when we're wrapping things up, but so far it's been pretty good. Well, the premium of it is huge. I can see how it could cause some misunderstandings.
私の推理ではお家を建てるのにお金をかけすぎて貧乏になってしまったと考えてますのよ。貧乏でかわいそうかわいそうです。
I don't think we've seen this face, so let's swap it over to console. And then there we have her, like, kind of smiling, with her eyes closed of all things. Alright, but back to this. No. Rika-chan took pity on me as she patted my head. I go from being treated like a millionaire to a beggar.
諸君らの楽しい想像をぶち壊すようで悪いが、うちは金持ちでも貧乏でもないぞ。極めて平均的な普通の家庭だ。
あれだけ大きな家は普通とは言わないって。しかも玄関は立派で門は大型車も入れるようになってるし。
Ah, P does it. Ah, there you go. Oh god. But then we have to see this. We have to see these abominations. Ugh.
絶対普通じゃないって。
They do say the bigger your house, the more prosperous you are. The reason the house is so big is because Dad's studio's in it too. There are a bunch of different workshops, and lots of his works are hung up in different places. All of them are huge too. For those reasons, the family actually uses only a third of the house for day-to-day living. He planned it out so people and cars could come in to see the gallery he opens up in the house someday. By the way, the entranceway Mion is talking about is the one for the studio, and is normally sealed off. The entranceway that the Maebara family actually uses is a very plain and simple one. The interior is much different from how it looks on the outside.
ぜひ今度ケイちゃんの家を探検してみたいよな。お金持ちじゃないと主張しながらもあの邸宅、一体何が隠されているのか。
いいものが隠されてるといいな。きっと家具を買うお金もなくなってて殺風景な部屋がいっぱいなのですわ。絨毯のお部屋ならぜひゴロゴロしてみたいですよ。わあ、それいいね、それいいね。レナもゴロゴロしたい。
Seems like their imaginations were just piling on. Well, sometime in the near future, it wouldn't be too bad to invite them all to my house. Dad's a sucker for the ladies, so he might even let them look around his studio. The cry of the Higurashi crescendoed as the sky towered over everything. It was hot, but the air was clear. It smelled like the beginning of summer. Alright, and the final tip. Since again, I assume these are just like little mini arcs or things to tell like bits and pieces of like the story in between like chapters. So the Damn Site Murder / Dismemberment newspaper edition. I assume I'm just gonna have to read this one completely. From the June X 1979 edition. The Shishibone City Okinomiya Police Station, June X, late at night. Suspects so-and-so were arrested on suspicions of murder and improper disposal of a corpse. The main offender, so-and-so, has been added to wanted lists nationwide. According to our sources, the 6 suspects were at the Hinamizawa Dam construction site workroom on the X day at 9 p.m., where they are suspected to have assaulted and murdered the site overseer, so-and-so, as a group, dismembering his body and hiding it. On the X at 8 o'clock in the morning, a report was filed by the Shishibone City Hospital in which a male suspect alluded to having murdered Mr. So-and-so. When questioned at the police station, the individual confessed to the crime. Since a portion of the body was recovered at the location he gave, he was arrested that afternoon on suspicion of murder and mutilation of a corpse. The rest of the suspects were arrested the same day, but the main culprit is still at large. Police are currently on his trail. The motive is purported to be a drunken verbal dispute during which he killed the victim in a fit of anger. However, as there are multiple inconsistencies with their testimonies, the investigation is still ongoing. That's quite something for a murder of all things, which I was not expecting. But let's go back and save once again, and yeah, let's get ready to wrap things up. Actually, we got pretty far. We did the first 2 like little chapters. So I think this would be a good stopping point for tonight.